All right, we are recording. All right, we're going to get this thing rolling. I'm going to share my screen up. And some of this might be review for you, Heidi, but it's good stuff though. All right, where is my PowerPoint? All right, slideshow. All right, well, here it is. Summer abs. All right, we can start thinking summer a little bit here because we've got the heat wave of 42 degrees here. But we're coming up on March, and as I always say, like people, I've seen too many people like with summer bodies, that are in the summer, they're not happy with their summer bodies, so they keep themselves covered up and they avoid things like going to the lake, going to the beach. And I remember a few years ago, I had a woman that said they had this beautiful cabin up north and she would never enjoy it because she was too self-conscious about the way she looked. So this could be, everyone talks about abs for the summer. Abs is a big thing, but it could be your entire body. So we're going to just talk about some strategies and really simple strategy here tonight that, not simple, you still have to do the work, but it's simple strategies that I think is really anybody can do. And I'm going to do a little demo at the end of this, how this is done. So before you start any type of fat loss journey, so if you're watching this, if you jump on here live or if you're watching this recorded, it's all about a mindset, and you have to have a purpose behind anything you do. Otherwise, it's not going to last. And a lot of people just go into the new year like, I should get in shape. I want to be in shape, but they really don't think about why it's important to them. And really, fat loss is a mindset. What does it do for you in the grand scheme of things? I mean, everybody, there's that vanity piece. Everybody wants to look better. They want to look good. They want to look attractive to their spouse. They want to wear certain clothes, especially like women. But what is the big underlying purpose that's driving you forward for this? And that woman's thing was, she was missing out on a lot of her family time in the summer just because she had this self-consciousness and she wanted to get rid of that and build some confidence. And that was her driving force behind it. And you have to make a decision with anything. I think really you're all in or nothing. Being like half in, half out never gets results, and it's very frustrating for you because you never really go forward or backwards. So like they say in poker, I think you really have to be all in. That doesn't mean perfect, and that's why I follow that up with, that means you're going to make a consistent effort, not a perfect effort, and write out your purpose so that you can see, remember why you do this. I know every day I have a purpose I write out, and I try to read that. I don't always read it every day, but most days, especially days when I'm not motivated, and it reminds me, why am I getting up and going out to do what I do every day? So there should be something that drills up some emotion, fires you up behind this, because just getting abs to be vain or to, just because, you think it's the cool thing to do, or it's you want to fit in with the neighbors, it's not going to last long. So you got to dig a little deep on this. I just always say that's how people get goals done. I mean, when you figure out the why, that's the fuel that's going to figure out, and the how becomes much easier because the why is the fuel that drives the how. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to this is a formula you want to, use. And like I said, this is recorded, but this is a formula we use for, people want to really dial in how many calories they're gonna get. This is to find out uh, your maintenance calories, and that is take into account. I like this better than some of these formulas, body weight times 10, or like a lot of women just gravitate to like 1,200 calories. This takes into your height and weight, and you got to put your height in centimeters and your weight in kilograms, and then your age, and then I times it times 1.3 because that's most people's activity level, unless you are like you do landscaping, or you're like maybe you're a waitress or waiter, something that you're on your feet daily, you might want to go like to like 1.5, 1.6. But most people have desk jobs, so I just kind of just default to 1.3 because most people we deal with, the reason they need help with their exercise is because a lot of times they do have a job that requires them to sit a lot. So I just default to this 1.3 because that really measures what your daily activity level is, and that is pretty much the norm for most Americans. So this is a good formula to use if you really want to know where should I start with my calories for my maintenance. Now, from that maintenance, you got to decide what you want to do. There's three choices here. For fat loss, if you're just, I really want to get the fat off. That's the direction I'm going. You maintenance minus 20% of your calories. All right. So if I find out I'm at 2,000 calories, simply 20% of that is 400. I'm going to start at 1,600 calories as my starting point. Recomposition, where you want to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, that is going to be a slower process in both directions. But if you want to go a little bit slower, you can do the maintenance for the recomposition. That's going to be right around maintenance or maybe slightly under. You could even try to go maybe 5%, 10% under, but that's where you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. And then for muscle gain, it's maintenance plus 20%. So you add 20% onto that. So if it was like, once again, 2,000 calories you came up to with that formula, just to have a nice round number, you would add 20% to that, which would be 2,400, where we want to start for muscle gain. Now, keep in mind, this isn't set in stone, these caloric intakes. You want to start here, and then it's important to kind of regularly monitor your weight and see what your weight's doing, see how your physique's looking. All those things come into play, and just see in general what you see the scale doing. I mean, really, you want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. I would say the slower you lose it, the more definition you're going to keep. When you lose it more than that, unless when you start out initially, you're going to, maybe when you start cleaning things up initially, you're going to typically lose more, but then it should level off to about 1 to 2 pounds a week. And so you want to see that scale just slowly ticking down if you're trying to lose fat. And then the same thing in the opposite direction. You don't want to go too fast in either direction, because it's probably not going to be, if you're losing weight fast, you're probably losing muscle weight, and you're going to get that skinny fat look if you keep doing that. If you're gaining it too fast, you're probably gaining fat weight along with the muscle, and you're going to get that bulky look. You're going to lose a lot of your definition. So a lot of people like the recomposition. If you're a patient person, like I'm more of a recomposition person, because I'd rather do it a little bit slower, because I found that in the long term gets better results in terms of how you look. I think sometimes when you take too many calories down quickly, it's like almost like you get to a point where you can't go any lower. And then you got to determine your maintenance. Well, you determine your maintenance calories, but also your macros. So I always kind of look at body type, and there's 3 body types really. You think about a mesomorph as somebody who maybe has more of an athletic, kind of in the middle body type. So most people kind of fall into this category: 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. And if you're using an app, like a lot of apps like FitnessPal let you usually plug these percentages in. An endomorph is somebody who's naturally pretty thick, who gains weight very easily. You can see by the picture there that everybody probably knows somebody like that, or perhaps somebody who watches this is knowing that that's them. And then that's more the lower carb approach. We go a little more 20% carbs, a little higher protein at 45%, a little higher fat. So we're breaking down those calories into those macronutrients. That's a better one for that. And then ectomorphs usually do better with a little bit of higher carbs. These are the people that are naturally skinny. Now you can have people that are skinny, but skinny fat, they're skinny, but they don't have any definition. So that's where that would come into play. But you'd still want to really generally start with these types of breakdowns for your macronutrient breakdowns. So this is by the numbers if you want some targets. And, if you go back to this first slide, I think it's important to have targets to shoot for. If you don't have targets, it's really hard to make adjustments. And, some people say, well, I don't want to log, or I don't want to count numbers. The problem is, if you don't have consistent numbers to look at and something stalls up, it's really hard to make good, solid adjustments, to make objective adjustments. And a lot of times people do these knee-jerk things without any really good data. And I think data is important, because, usually when somebody stops losing weight, what we can do is we can look at, okay, well, here the calories are pretty low here, so let's increase I like to do a twofold: increase the activity and decrease the calories a little bit. So we're not just doing a big calorie drop, we're doing a little bit of more exercise and a little bit less calories, and doing it from both ends like that. Number 2 is really important too, is you want to get some staple foods that you actually will eat, and really break it into carbs, proteins, and fats. So these are some of the best ones I think out there that I think are going to have a lot of nutritional benefit, meaning they're going to when they have nutritional benefit, they're going to help you, they're going to fuel your body well, but they're also going to make you feel more satisfied. You think about, if I was to stick like pretzels on this list, pretzels probably wouldn't be very satisfying, and you can keep eating the whole bag of pretzels. But if you eat a big sweet potato, you a lot of times aren't going to feel like a second sweet potato, because that food has some bulk and has some nutrition to it. and there's more to it. It's a natural food. So you can see this list here. One little caveat too is with the couscous, the rice, the oatmeals, those type of things. I would make sure you get the slower cooking version. Reason being is a carb that is slower cooking is going to take longer for your body to break down just because it takes it takes longer to cook. It takes longer for your body to break it down. That means your blood sugar is going to stay stable. When your blood sugar goes high, when you eat a lot of instant stuff that you heat up 1 minute in the microwave and it cooks really quick, well, it breaks down quick, just like a sugar would. And most people know sugar is not good for you. But a lot of these so-called healthy carbs that have been modified so they cook quick because we're such an impatient society, don't behave a lot like sugar because of the way they're modified. So if you do those things, make sure you get the slower cooking kind. I always cook my oatmeal on the stove. Couscous, the same thing. Rice too, a little bit longer, takes longer, but that's much better because that'll, like I said, blood sugar nice and stable. Healthy breads can be a real caveat too. I typically like go with the sprouted grains, the Ezekiel, the Udis, those type of brands. There's other brands out there. Typically you'll find these in the frozen section in your grocery store. There's usually a healthier frozen section. So I would be really careful with my breads. Fruits, make sure they're fresh or frozen, not canned. Canned typically has a lot of, sometimes sugar they add in there with syrup and things like that. But also for nutrient content, fresh is going to be best. Frozen is going to be next best. I always want to be budget conscious. Always with fruits too. People always ask me about organic. I think it's a good idea to do as much organic as possible if it doesn't have a peel, because if it has a peel, it protects it from pesticides and things like that. But if it doesn't have a peel, a lot of times you could get some pesticides and stuff, which can disrupt hormones, and hormones is a big part of fat loss. So I try to get as clean of fruit and vegetables as possible. Also legumes or beans, those are important ones too that you can mix in. Black beans, I know we do like a lot of Mexican stuff in our house. So these are just some generally good carbs. Vegetables are kind of like any type of vegetable is going to be pretty good. Just don't slather it in ranch dressing, I guess would be my 2 cents on that. So protein, then your stable protein list. I got a long list of proteins, a couple vegetarian ones at the bottom if we have any vegan people or vegetarians that watch this video. Eggs or egg whites. A lot of people are concerned about getting too much cholesterol in their diet, and sometimes they just can't get enough protein. So egg whites are not a bad thing to mix in with regular eggs. Lean beef, grass-fed beef is actually good. I know for years people kind of shunned beef. They thought it was bad. Really where you get the animal from is good. It makes a big difference in the quality of the meat, and you don't want to get antibiotics and hormones and things like that in there. So grass-fed lean beef is going to be a higher quality beef. If you happen to know a farmer that sells beef, that's the ideal. Chicken, make sure it's free range, because free range, once again, it's an animal that hasn't been cooped up in a pen. And it's the same thing with turkeys too. You can actually at Costco, if you're a Costco member, you can get organic ground turkey, which is really hard to find. Fish, I would go with wild caught versus farm caught, because farm caught, once again, kind of like some of the other animals you see, you're not going to get the same nutritional value, and they're going to be loaded with omega-6s, which can really lead to more inflammation. If you happen to be in a hunting family like myself, wild game can be another great one. Or if you know a hunter, venison, elk, those are all great forms of protein as well. The dairy one, I typically your two highest protein dairy are going to be your Greek yogurts and your cottage cheese. And you got tofu, soy, pea protein, and then different various protein powders can all be great sources of protein. And protein's so important because it takes your body a lot more effort to break that down than does fat or carbohydrates. So when you add protein in at every meal, quality protein, it slows down that meal, just like I talked about the slower cooking carbs. And when you do that, your blood sugar stays stable. That keeps your insulin levels low. And when your insulin levels stay low, your body's much more able to burn fat. When your insulin levels tend to run high, you're typically going to find you're going to have more cravings, more energy crashes, those type of things, especially the nighttime cravings. And that's typically when that insulin's high, you'll tend to store more weight around the midsection. So having protein at every meal and snack is a key for your fat loss success. I would always think about what's my carb, what's my protein when I look at my meals, when I break my meals down. And then having some healthy fats is good too. It'll help with hormone production, but it also, once again, helps slow down the blood sugar. It also provides a little more satiety. So adding some good fats into your diet, this is just a good list of good fats. Just be careful with like your peanut butter that you get a natural version. Some peanut butter has trans fats in it, which can be toxic to the body, which anytime you put toxic, inflammation, any of those things in, that just basically kind of shuts down your body's metabolism's ability to work at its optimal rate. Also consider the fat, the good saturated fats you get in eggs, beef, fatty fish like salmon, coconut oil and coconuts. These are all good sources, olive oil, guac and avocados. So we do these, usually fat kind of takes care of itself in the diet, but we don't want to forget about fat. It is an important macronutrient. And some people will actually do better on higher fat diets, but we're just kind of really cruising through the general tonight. As we work with clients, a lot of times we find out, I know I have a client I'm working with right now that does a lot better when he has a higher fat content. And I don't know if that's ancestral or what, but he typically energy wise and loses body fat better when he has more fat. So there are those cases of people that do that, but that comes through coaching and a little bit of trial and error. So what for tonight, just generally like giving you some basic places to start, and then you have to track and assess. This is a big one. Number 3 is we want to be proactive. All right. This is the key to success with any nutrition. People always want to know what's the best diet, what's this. Being proactive is one of the best things that you're going to do to be successful with nutrition. So that means number 1, you plan a shopping trip or trips. I know like we typically do Costco and Cub. Like at Costco, we get certain things at Cub, try to plan meals for the week. So planning your shopping, cooking things up ahead of time, and it goes back to that list of staples. So like, for instance, for me, one of my staples is ground turkey. So I'll make ground turkey burgers on a Sunday night, knowing that my Mondays and Tuesdays at work are usually pretty busy and I have to bring my lunch. So I'll make sure I do that. I'll cook up some, it sounds weird, but I do oatmeal or sweet potatoes or something like that to have on hand. So some of those staples need to be cooked up ahead of time. And then also meal plan, especially for dinners. I mean, that's where a lot of people I see do really well during the day. And then they get to dinner and it's kind of this random thing. Like, I don't know what we're going to eat, and they, a lot of times it default to something easy and quick, which most of the time is not a good choice. So have a meal plan for dinners. And even for, if you're going to plan to bring your lunch, if that's always been an issue with you, just kind of map your week out. And then when we look at like an app like MyFitnessPal, there's other apps out there, but most people use MyFitnessPal, and I'm going to demo it out. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do this. Pre-enter your day ahead of time. A lot of people will actually, when they're doing food logging, they do what they have. They play from behind. They enter things as the day goes along, and all of a sudden they get to dinner and they've used up all their calories in their food, and they've got a family dinner plan. So the idea is to pre-enter your day ahead of time. Look at how it shakes out, especially in an app, and look at how your numbers add up. So when we have those numbers I said at the beginning of this, we want to pre-enter and see, is my plan going to get me close to those numbers? Because we have these numbers we want to hit, these targets, and a lot of people try to just randomly hit them during the day, and they're not pre-entering it, so they're just hoping that they're going to hit them, and they might get lucky. But you remember I said it's consistency, so you want to consistently be hitting them. You might not hit them every day of the week, but if you're hitting them like 5 out of 7 days of the week, 6 out of 7 days of the week, consistently enough, you can actually determine whether those numbers are pretty good or not, or you need to adjust them. And then the next one is have a plan. So we all have, I talked about meal. What's the difference between that and the meal plan? Having a plan for those situations where you're going to have a challenge. Maybe you have a work conference all day. I know even people are working from home. They have Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, or you're going to a family event or something and you don't want to just totally go off the grid. What's your plan going into that? You're going out to eat. Look at the restaurant menu online ahead of time. Look at what the options are. Have a plan going into your situations. Don't just fly blind, because that's where people get into trouble, is they don't have a plan. And so that proactive mindset is going to take you a long way when it comes to nutrition, is just being focused and ahead of time on that. And I'm going to show you how we pre-enter, because I think that is such a key thing. And then you have to foster a culture of discipline. There's a book called Atomic Habits, and it said make good habits easy and bad habits hard. And one of the ways to make bad habits hard is to get the crap out of your house that is like your kryptonite. So like for me, cake is my kryptonite. So we don't have cake in the house. All right. We're in Girl Scout cookie season. I've got a couple Girl Scouts I got a Girl Scout in the house. I don't like to keep a lot of Girl Scout cookies around the house that are unpackaged. If they're going to be sold, great. I have a client whose his kryptonite is cashews, And no matter how much he tries to portion them out, he can go into the cupboard and get them. And I told him that this week. I said, you know what? Don't even buy the cashews. Why would you even buy them? Eliminate the stuff that is the trigger foods in your house. All right. That is really a big one for a lot of people is they think they're going to beat it with willpower, but that stressful day at work comes up, that, that emotion comes up, or they're just sitting around watching Netflix and they're bored, which is what happened to a couple of my clients this past weekend. One of them, their wife was out of town and he was sitting around home, and the bad habits kind of creeped in on him because the stuff was there and it was accessible. So that's why I say eliminate the crap. If you know there's things in your house that are very temptations, just get it out. Don't try to beat it with your super Jedi force willpower. One of the biggest things I've seen people do to get results, excuse me, is cut out or back off the booze. I see a lot of people that work out, eat right, but they got to have their couple glasses of wine, beer, whatever it is every night. And the problem with that is it really messes up your hormones. It creates inflammation in the body. It's empty calories. It doesn't really have an assignment like carbs, proteins, and fats do. And it really kind of buds in line in front of your other calories. So it can create excess calories in your body. It can throw off your hormones. It can create inflammation, which is not good for a good metabolism. Also, if you've ever seen somebody who drinks a lot, do they look puffy or do they look lean and thin? They look puffy because it definitely makes you hold more water and makes you more bloated. So just by doing this, I've seen people lose 10 to 15 pounds very quickly. And I don't want to be, no pun intended, a buzzkill, but if you're all about, like I said, going back to that, making a decision if I'm all in, and you're having drinks every night, you're not really all in until you cut this things back. All right, cut it back to maximum. I would say once a week, a few drinks. All right, if you're doing that on a regular basis, it's going to be really, really hard to make progress. And then get rid of the slip and slide nutrition. What is slip and slide nutrition? It's where you go on, you stick to your plan for 2 days, and then, oh yeah, my neighbor came over and we had to have drinks, and then okay, now I'm back on the next day, but then somebody brought over dessert to this get together, and then I had to have that. Or where you do like the 2 days on, but then something always comes up on day 3 or 4, and then you get on for a couple days, and then you go off for a day or two. So it's kind of like you're slipping and sliding. You're spinning your wheels. And that slip and slide nutrition, I see a lot of people get stuck in that. They think they're doing good, but every day or two, they're, every couple days or even more frequently, maybe even every day, they're using excuses like, well, everything in moderation, one just won't hurt, but they're sabotaging the results. Like I said, it goes back to making that decision, and that culture of discipline is staying tight with your plan. All right. You've got to be solid. And that's where it goes all the way back to the beginning of this. Dig into your purpose. When you start to get weak, dig into your purpose. Why do you want to do this? And this is my every 6 free day rule. So you can have a free day once a week, and that doesn't mean it's a blank check, meaning that, it's free day, so I'm going to eat as much as I can in the next 24 hours, and then I'm going to go back off. That'll do more harm than good. But if you're wise, you'll say, I'm going to plan a night out with my spouse. We're going to go and have a nice dinner, maybe have a glass of wine and a nice dessert, and that's it. All right. That's free day. And free day needs to happen, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, but I've done this for 26 years and my job is to get results, is you need to wait about 6 days before you have a free day. Free day can't be, well, I had free day on Saturday, but I'm going to use my free day every 2 days. That goes back to that slip and slide nutrition approach. So give yourself 6 solid days of sticking to your plan, and then have your free day on day 7. Now, what happens if, I've got something on Sunday and my free day is on Saturday? You know what? Stick to it an extra day. Make that block go a little longer. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. Space those free days out, use them, and they're going to be more, you're going to enjoy them more when you space them out too. It's kind of like you're rewarding yourself for your discipline. You're giving yourself a break, and it's actually good for your mindset and for your metabolism to have a little bit of higher calorie days. So stick with that culture, discipline. A lot of people just, this is what they do, and I'm just pulling this off of what I see, why people don't do well with nutrition. They know what to do, but they allow their mindset to win the bat. They allow their mindset to go the wrong direction. So set yourself up for success. Get rid of the crappy things that, or even if they're good foods, like I said, I mentioned cashews. That's a good food, but too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. And get the things out of there that are going to sabotage your efforts. Number 5 is accountability. All right. It's easy to BS yourself. All right. We can always justify why we need these things. It goes back to, I had to do it. I didn't want to make my neighbor, with Minnesota Nice, we don't want to make my neighbor feel bad, even though she was shoving that cake in my face. Or, you know what, I worked really hard today, so I deserve this, I deserve these 2 glasses of wine. It was a tough day at work. I mean, we can tell ourselves all these things. And it really is. I mean, it really is BS. People tell themselves, they make excuses all the time, and why they do these things, it doesn't get results. And I'm all about results. So, and then also people think they're doing well. And I think it's important to have somebody who knows what the heck they're doing to give you feedback. Every time I've pursued a big goal in my life, I've always had somebody there to give me feedback. When I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not an expert in that, I want someone to give me feedback. Last year, about a year ago, I did a surf camp in Costa Rica. Now I could have just rented a surfboard and tried to figure it out on my own. And I might've got lucky, but I realized after hiring a surf instructor that it was so key that, how I judge the waves, how I stand up, all the things that I learned, I never would have learned on myself. So I would have just been winging it. And that's how a lot of people do. They think because they're filling out a food journal, they're doing good, but nobody's ever looking at it and giving them any feedback, because they could be putting all this effort in to track their food and work out, and they're doing things in that food journal that are sabotaging their efforts. So it's sad, because you're wasting time and effort when you could be getting to your goal much, much quicker. And people, let's just face it, we all do better with accountability. All right. We are not going to be good we are going to procrastinate. All of us, that includes us trainers, we all do better with somebody to be accountable to if we want to move forward in life. All right. In any part of our life, not just our nutrition. So get accountable to someone, and it could be a workout buddy, it could be a trainer, whoever it is, but don't try to do this on your own. You will never succeed. I guarantee that. Bonus strategy. All right. Spark plugs. All right. You got a picture of spark plugs here. Now, you don't have to be a mechanic to know that spark plugs are what make an engine hum. Well, vitamins and minerals and omega-3 fat acids, those type of things are the same thing for your metabolism. And the fact is, most Americans are getting the RDAs of their vitamins and minerals, which, if you think about the RDAs, if you really look back, why were the RDAs created? The RDAs were created to prevent scurvy and rickets. All right. We don't see those things in our society anymore. So, so the RDAs are not quite the optimal amount. We want to get things in the optimal amounts. So we want that engine to run as best as possible. So things like vitamin D, especially this time of year, if you live in a state like we do in Minnesota, we're not getting a lot of sunlight. Vitamin D is big for carbohydrate metabolism, for insulin sensitivity. So making your insulin work right. And I was just talking about how key insulin is to fat loss. Omega-3s help reduce inflammation. They also help with insulin sensitivity. Magnesium. A lot of these things we're not getting enough in our diet, so it just makes sense to supplement, to have a good multivitamin, some fish oils. I would also say a probiotic for digestive health, very important. Some extra vitamin D, because these are key things that help our body work optimally, and we just simply aren't getting them in our diets. Even when you're trying to eat good, most Americans aren't even eating close to 7 to 11 solid fruits and vegetables per day, and then some of the fruits and vegetables are questionable. Even like this time of year in Minnesota, they are going to be a little bit questionable as well. They also help with recovery. So when you're trying to make progress and add muscle and get more toned, it's not how hard you work out, it's how well you recover. Your body adapts during recovery. So a lot of these things I mentioned, like magnesium, it's a big one for recovery. Zinc is a big one for recovery. So just some examples of some important nutrients that you don't always get in the optimal amounts that can really assist your body to recover quicker, so you make much more progress with your workouts and your nutrition. All right, so I'm going to do a little demo for FitnessPal here. I'm going to shut this part of the screen down. So this is how I do FitnessPal, and this is actually pretty cool, because I'm going to do my whole day for tomorrow. And let's see here. There it is. So using that formula I just showed you, here's my FitnessPal. Here's my today. I plug this in. I pretty much follow this to a science. I can go down here and look at this. And if you're using FitnessPal, I honestly prefer it on my computer versus my phone, and I'll show you why. So I'm on my computer right now, and I'm going in. I showed this to a client today. I was demonstrating this. I did not have Famous Dave's 5/8 chicken. So here's my day tomorrow. I'm going to plug it in right now. So
hey, Eric, I'm still seeing your slide.
Oh, you are, huh?
Yeah.
Right. let's see here. Let me do this. And let's see. Do you see it now?
Yep, I can see it now.
All right, awesome. I saw what I did. Thanks to the IT department there. So, all right. So FitnessPal remembers everything you put in. So here's my breakfast. All right. You're going to look at, I'm going to have a list of common foods for my breakfast. If my wireless will kick in here. Come on, wireless. All right. So as I slide down, because I've been entering foods, come on. All right, hold on a sec. My wireless should be a list of foods here. Go back to FitnessPal. Sorry guys, my wireless is being a little slow here. I'm going to refresh. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go to my breakfast. All right, so now you see kind of a staple thing. A lot of times I do my egg whites in the morning. I do my Advocare Spark. I'll do a apple usually. I'll do some oatmeal. It's pretty staple, like I talked about your staples. That's added in, all right? There's my breakfast. That took me not even a minute, all right? My lunch tomorrow. Going back to my staples, I usually make a lot of oatmeal. Ground turkey. Add my check. There's my lunch, all right? My snacks. Pretty simple. I usually do a couple pure protein bars. I use a banana with an Advocare shake. And then I might do another Spark. Okay, that's in. So remember these foods. Now remember here, I got my targets listed out in front of me. So now coming into dinner, that's usually like the random thing for most people. And so if I go to my dinner, I go to, okay, what do I typically have for dinner? I know tomorrow night's going to be a busy night. So I will do probably just some easy vegetable, and I will do my grass-fed beef, 8 ounces. See, it already even keeps the amounts that you eat too in there, which is nice. And I'll see kind of how that shakes out if I do that. Ooh, that puts me a little over. Where am I a little over in the fat department? So then maybe what I can do, so I'm a little bit over my calorie. So I might just go with 7 ounces, go change this to 7 ounces, or maybe 6 ounces might be better. This is where FitnessPal can be a really good tool. And boom. Now I'm right on. I just took 2 ounces off, so that helped me control my portion there. And I just planned my whole day out tomorrow in a matter of minutes. So that's the pre-entering part I talk about. Is when you pre-enter like this, now you got your day mapped out. And then if you're making a dinner, you can kind of know, okay, well, this is how much I can have of that. You know, maybe you're having tacos or something like that. And one other thing with FitnessPal, what I think is important, and I'm just going to throw this in here to show you guys. We have I showed this to a client today. So we were talking about Famous Dave's, right? Maybe you're going to go like, well, even if you're going to go like, there's a restaurant over here in Eagan called Doolittle's. This is how much stuff. This is just this random restaurant. Maybe you're going to go to Doolittle's, you're going to try to make a healthy choice of Cobb salad here, right? So Doolittle's Cobb salad, here it is. It's in there. What I would do when you go out to eat, if you're going out to eat, is put in whatever that is, put in 1.2, add another quarter serving to it. And I do that because eating out can be kind of a crapshoot. So you're giving yourself a little bit of a conservative approach, meaning that when I add a quarter serving, I'm giving myself a little buffer room here. So I know I'm going to overestimate my calories from eating out. So you'll see like it has Doolittle's Cobb salad here. I overestimated 1.25 servings. So I just put that in there just to show you that there's a lot of stuff in here, guys. So there's a lot of restaurants that if you're watching this from another state, if you watch this recorded, you can find a lot of things in here. So you can be somewhat accurate, but it's just when you do this over and over again and you stay close to your target numbers, and it's wash, rinse, repeat. It's boring. It's not exciting. But you start doing this and you use this app the way it's intended to and use it on a computer so you can do this much quicker. You start to have your days planned out and you start to hit these numbers consistently. You'll know pretty quick if it's working or not, and then you can make adjustments. You saw I was just like 100 calories over, and one little adjustment in the serving size put me right on close to my numbers. So that's what I wanted to show you with the demo on that. So I'm going to stop the share and go back to the PowerPoint here, and then I'm going to go. All right. And all right, so that's a quick FitnessPal demo. So I would recommend using that app. It's quick, it's easy. Once you start getting regular foods that you eat in, that goes back to the list of staples. You eat those foods very similarly over and over again. Now you start to create kind of some consistency. And when you get into a rhythm, that's when you start to see results. And the problem is most people aren't in a rhythm. They're all over the board. They're random. They're eating this, they're eating that. There's no consistency to what they're doing. And when you get that consistency and rhythm, that's when you start to get lean. And you start to do that now and practice that. And yes, you're going to miss some days. And yes, some days aren't going to be right on. But if you do that right from now till summer, I guarantee you're going to see awesome results by the time summer gets around. So a couple of success stories of people I've coached. Nurgis was actually a fitness instructor at the Y, worked out all the time, but wasn't dealing with the nutrition. And this is somebody that I worked with just exclusively on nutrition. And it was a process, and the great thing about her is she also is a counselor. So she understands anytime you don't go to counseling and fix, mental issues in one session. She understood it takes months to do this. So she worked with me for like 5 months, and she lost 30 pounds and 10% off her body fat percent. So very, very incredible. You just see the difference in her, and she's a foodie. She's Turkish, and she likes to make a lot of her cultural foods and try different things. We're both foodies, and we found a way she could still be a foodie, be social, and still get it done. So another guy my age, Brad, friend of mine, he used the FitnessPal app. He's a numbers guy. He's a spreadsheet guy. Did really well with this, but he cut his body fat in half by just doing this in conjunction with a good exercise program. So this does work. It does work to do the numbers and to track the numbers. And I find that just by using that app, it makes you much more conscious about what you're putting in and what kind of impact it might be having on you. So if you're watching this, I know the person that's on here live right now has done this, but she can test to these results. The best thing we do to create momentum with nutrition is our 24-day jumpstart when it comes to nutrition. Average weight loss, 5 to 10 pounds, average inches, 5 to 10 inches, and about 2 to 3% body fat. We use some world-class products from Advocare to support good nutrition plans. We give you a 28-day nutrition program. And if you're doing nutrition coaching with me, I like to stick with you 90 days because 90 days really is what cements in good habits. At first when we do this, we check in a little more frequently, but then as we get going, it's going to be like once a week, but it's the accountability piece. And this works really, really well for most people. So this is our system that we sell. If you're watching this for $249 on its own, but it is a great momentum thing if you're really struggling with nutrition and you need a jump start. Other than that, I only have one person on here right now. So any questions from Heidi? Heidi, you've been going through this process. Maybe you want to test to it a little bit because there's people actually on Facebook right now that are asking me if this is going to be recorded.
A test to the 24-day challenge.
24-day challenge, and then just by using the FitnessPal to track your nutrition, like where you're at right now.
I guess so after the 28 days, I lost 14 and a half inches, 5.1% body fat, and 10 pounds.
Yeah. So you beat the average.
I did. I'm an overachiever.
You're an overachiever. Well, I knew that from the get-go, but you did really well on it, and you continue. And then we've progressed you to like some more advanced things like carb cycling now and everything. But you're a great example of this. You use this app religiously, and you can see the results. That's what's awesome about it. I mean, it's not perfect app, but it just gets you in that consistent mode. And then clients I see that do that consistently. That's really how you get summer abs. You obviously have to work out. and we can help you with that. But this is where most people fall short, is their nutrition, is they just don't pay attention to it. You know, they kind of grab this, they grab that. This looks healthy. Maybe I'll do this, or they jump from diet to diet. And really, when you start to get your macros, and after a while, like I found out, once I kind of know where I'm at, I wouldn't even have to use the app. I just like to use the app sometimes because I'm a numbers guy. But after a while, people start to figure out what they need to eat, and they know what their portion size are supposed to look like, so they can actually get off the app if they choose to. But it really is that really is what it takes to get abs. And the problem with this goes back to the purpose, is most people just don't stick with it. You know, they want to see the results quick, and just remember, years or months of bad habits aren't going to go away in 30 days. All right. No matter what, some infomercial or some slick Willie trying to sell you their magic pill nutrition program. But this works with clients. And when they do this, we see great results. So hopefully this was helpful. It might have been a good review for some of you guys if you're watching this. I know some of you guys are watching this on recording, but if you're not currently like an advocate or preferred customer, or if you'd like to do the 24-day challenge, just reach out after watching this. If you'd like to just get a kickstart on your nutrition, we'd love to help you out. And hopefully this will give you some insight. But yeah, definitely get signed up for FitnessPal, and it's a free app, and you can use it like I just showed you, and just keep doing that all the way through May. And then if you get stuck, then make some simple adjustments. Drop your calories down a couple hundred, maybe increase your energy or increase your activity up a little bit, and just see what happens. And if you get stuck, you can always reach out to me. So that's what I got. That's my summer abs strategies. I try to keep it simple, no intermittent fasting or carb cycling. We got to get the fundamentals down first, is where most people need to start. Once we get that, we can talk about that. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And I thank Heidi for being my IT and being on here tonight. So
You're welcome.
see you later, Heidi.
Yeah.